All right, welcome to lesson 3.2.3, modeling using exponential functions. We're going to start off with, the first problem where we're going to write the exponential function represented by the table of values. So in order to write the exponential function, you only need two things, the common ratio and the starting number. So let's start with the starting number. The starting number is going to be the one next to the 0 on your t-table, and that's going to be 3. So this is our starting number. And then the common ratio is going to be the number that you multiply every single time to get to your next term. So 3 times what equals 6? 6 times what equals 12? 12 times what equals 24? And it should be the same number every single time. Let's pretend you don't immediately know what to multiply by. So 3 times what equals 6? Let's pretend you have no clue. So what you can do is take two numbers that are next to each other, like the 3 and the 6, and you actually just divide them. So what is, for example, 6 divided by 3? The bottom number divided by the top number. And this is going to give you 2. So this is your common ratio because 3 times 2 equals 6. 6 times 2 equals 12. 12 times 2 equals 24. So the way you can get your common ratio is literally by dividing two numbers that are next to each other, bottom number minus top. I'm actually going to write that not minus top. I said that wrong. Bottom divided by top, okay? Bottom divided by top. And that will give you your common ratio. So once you have your common ratio, your function can look like this. I'll write it out as the most basic thing. F of x is equal to starting multiplied by ratio, I'll use the letter r, to the power of x. So putting it together, we have f of x is equal to the starting number. Remember, our starting number is next to the 0, so it's the 3, multiplied by the common ratio, which was 2, raised to the power of x. This is your final answer. All right, let's try this again for number 2. Actually, I want you guys to try this on your own. So try writing out your own exponential function and see what you get. All right, so if we're on pause now, let's see how you did. If you made a mistake, that's totally okay. And just correct your answers, and then we will move on from there because it's still new to us. So it's totally fine if you made a mistake. All right, so first let's start with our starting number. Our starting number is 1. And now let's find our common ratio. What do we multiply with every single time? Let's say I don't know, so I'm going to take two numbers that are next to each other. I'm going to do bottom divided by top. 3 divided by 1, and that gives me 3. So it looks like every single time I'm multiplying by 3. And if you check, it makes sense. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And so therefore our common ratio is 3. Putting it together, we have f of x is equal to 1, our starting number, multiplied by 3 to the power of x. And that is your final answer. Okay, let's deal with number 3 together. So for number 3, same process. Here, I'll scroll like that so we can still see the equation up here. So same process. Let's first figure out our starting number. Next to 0 is 4, so our starting number is 4. Now, what are we multiplying by every single time? To get from 4 to 2, 2 to 1, and 1 to 1/2. So you might notice that the numbers are getting smaller, and that's okay. So remember the process is bottom divided by top. Let's pick two numbers that are next to each other. So bottom is 2, divided by top is 4. So 2 over 4 is the same thing as 1/2. You can simplify this fraction. Okay, let's say you don't like simplifying fractions, so you don't pick 2 over 4. You can also pick these two numbers. So bottom divided by top is literally 1 divided by 2, which is 1/2. Remember the common ratio, you can pick any two consecutive numbers because it should be the same thing every single time. Okay, so it looks like we are multiplying by 1/2 every time. And also, just so you know, when you multiply by 1/2, that's the same thing as dividing by 2, which makes sense because 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 divided by 2 is the fraction 1/2. So that's how you can get your common ratio. Finally, let's put it together. F of x is equal to your starting number multiplied by your common ratio to the power of x. And this is your final answer. All right, last one. Same process, even though there's negatives, it's okay. So let's try it out. The starting number next to 0, it's -2. This is your starting. Okay, what is our common ratio? Let's pretend you don't know it. Let's just pick two numbers that are next to each other and divide it. Bottom divided by top. Simplify. -10 divided by -2 is +5. So it looks like every single time we are multiplying by 5. And you can check it on a calculator. Is -50 times 5 -250? Yes, it is. Is -10 times 5 -50? Yes, it is. So this is good to go. Let's put it together in our final equation. We have our starting number multiplied by our common ratio raised to the power of x. And so therefore, this is your final answer. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you are free to work on the 6 problems that are assigned to you in the skills practice.